You ever notice how the past has a way of knocking on our door, even when we swear we've locked it shut? If the Mafia is truly dead, why does America keep acting like it's still breathing down our neck? Why do the same shadows keep crawling back into the corners of our cities? Extortion, corruption, blood deals, oaths of silence? Why do they reappear every generation, dressed in new suits, speaking new languages, but carrying the same cold ambition? Stay with me for the next few minutes, because this is the story of why the Mafia never really left, why it will always return, and why its next rebirth will be its most dangerous. Hit the subscribe button if you want more truth from the underworld most people pretend doesn't exist. People love to believe the Mafia was defeated. Back in the 1980s, when federal prosecutors lined up mob bosses like trophies, America cheered. Cameras flashed, handcuffs clicked. The headlines read, "It's over. The old world has been dismantled." But real power doesn't die. It waits, quiet, patient, like a wolf lying low until the shepherd lets his guard down. A long time ago in Brooklyn, an old-timer told me, "Kid, the Mafia doesn't disappear, it just changes the clothes." And he was right. To understand why the Mafia always returns, you need to understand three things: the nature of power, the nature of business, and the nature of human beings. Let's start with power. Every nation reaches moments when its institutions grow slow, weary, predictable. Paperwork kills action. Bureaucracy chokes urgency. People are tired of waiting. That's the moment when a different kind of authority steps in. Someone who delivers results before the government even finishes filling out a form. A favor, a threat, protection, revenge. That's the soil where the Mafia grows, the cracks where the state can't reach fast enough. Now business. Money hates a vacuum. Anywhere there's demand, someone will fill it, especially when the law says they shouldn't. Alcohol, drugs, smuggling, gambling, protection. Anything the government forbids becomes a goldmine for men who don't fear the dark. In 20th century America, those men were the La Cosa Nostra. In the 21st century, their spiritual heirs are smaller, quieter, smarter, but just as hungry. But the biggest reason the Mafia always returns is people. People are weak. People are greedy. People want shortcuts. Prisons are filled with men who wanted fast money, but out in the shadows are the ones who want something bigger: control. The Mafia doesn't survive by selling vice. It survives by understanding human desire, by owning the fear inside a man's heart. So when America thinks the mob is gone, it's simply whispering instead of shouting. It learns, it evolves, it studies computers, banks, corporations. It becomes cleaner, smarter, harder to trace. Take the Moretti family. In the 70s and 80s, their name echoed from Howard Beach to Mulberry Street. 5 brothers, 5 kingdoms. Construction, ports, nightclubs, trucking, unions. Millions flowing in every month. Until 1996. The FBI launched a massive strike. 3 brothers got life. 2 vanished. The newspapers declared the dynasty dead. But 20 years later, their ghosts began moving again. Only this time, the Morettis weren't running gambling dens. They were buying logistics companies, controlling pharmaceutical supply chains, investing in crypto hedge funds. They realized the simple truth: if you want to own a city, don't spill its blood. Own its money. Yesterday's turf wars have become today's data wars. Access to systems, control of distribution, influence over elected officials through donations, consulting fees, and partnerships. Nobody asks for kickbacks anymore. They issue invoices. Nobody breaks kneecaps. They break balance sheets. The public watches politicians, but the real bosses sit in quiet rooms, invisible to cameras, steering entire markets with a phone call. In prison yards, old-school wise guys tell the younger ones the Mafia's dead. But the truth is, the mob simply slipped into a new skin. Gone are the street soldiers selling product on corners. Now you have cyber specialists laundering cash through decentralized networks, going out of smoky back rooms filled with bookmakers. Now you have data brokers and shell corporations. You want to know why it's more dangerous today? Because the enemy doesn't look like an enemy. He looks like a businessman. So why will the mafia always return? Because it already has. It returned the moment America stopped watching the shadows and started staring at screens. The moment law enforcement focused on street gangs, while the old families quietly took over industries. Even the FBI admits, organized crime today is strategic, not loud. You can't arrest strategy. You can't handcuff a mindset. And you can't kill an idea built on human weakness. Some people say, we have new technology, we have new laws, we have control now. But the mafia always finds what the law cannot touch: fear, desperation, ambition. There is nothing easier to discover than a man who wants more than he can earn, and nothing more dangerous than a man the mafia decides to reward. The mafia will always return because it is built on something timeless: power struggles, shortcuts to wealth, brotherhood in a world that feels cold, loyalty in a world that feels disposable. Every era has its underworld empire. Ancient Rome led patrician cartels. The Middle Ages had guild mafias. The 20th century had La Cosa Nostra. The 21st century has corporate crime syndicates. The faces change, the principles don't. And federal inmate once told me something I never forgotten. Kid, the mafia doesn't die, it adapts. As long as there's people who want more than they can earn, we will exist. And as long as there's fear, we will rule. So the next time someone tells you the mafia is gone, ask yourself, did it really disappear? Or did it just get smart enough to disappear from sight? Hit subscribe if you want more stories from the world most people are too afraid to look into. Because in the world of crime, silence is always the loudest sound.